Well, it's the weekend again, and I have some supplies we're taking to the shop. And you'll see why I've got these boxes. They're actually just the cheapest kitty litter that I could find. And I'll show you why in a minute why I needed 80 pounds of kitty litter. But let's tackle these brakes today. I'd like to make some progress on them so that I can continue to run this tractor for a while and see if the smoking goes away as the rings are exposed again to heat and lubrication and all that stuff. So let's get in here, get the lights on, and we're gonna tackle these brakes. But first I'm gonna show you the condition of the ground under the tractor. That's gonna be fun. So let me show you today's haul. I've got 4 short 3/8 hydraulic hoses for the loader. That loader is currently on the 440, but I think that loader is coming to the 430. Like I said in another video, I think I'm done with the gas ones. Probably going to sell them and focus everything on the diesel one. There is a diesel injection pump shut-off cable. It's way too long, so we're going to have to trim that down. And then I'm kind of excited about these. The diesel tractor has an old pump on it, but it also has some hoses routed for accessories, and they use some very old connectors that are very impossible to find. Granted, that tractor's covered in them, but these are kind of nifty. They're newer. You find them on the Bobcats and stuff like that, and they click really well. Easy to ensure they don't come unclicked. So I'm excited about these for the back end of the tractor, because I'm going to drive the what do you call it? The excavator with this tractor. That's my plan long term. So that's pretty cool. Today though, we're going to do something about the brakes on this tractor. And I might try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I might try in the same service window, I guess is what you call it, to paint the back wheels gray. I've got some nice what do you call it? I used to think that lacquer was the best paint for stuff, and that's true. It's really nice to spray paint lacquer. But I've found that enamel paint is kind of the standard for tractors. It's what people use. So anyway, what you're about to see is I'm going to turn this tractor around, and I'm going to try to park it so that the rear wheels are a little bit closer to this area where there's room on both sides. I've got kind of a narrow hallway right in front of each of the doors to my shop because of this thing. I built this cabinet system, and I thought that it would be awesome. I thought it would be really awesome to have a bunch of storage, and it has been, but I have since decided to build mobile cabinets. And by mobile, I mean these have some 2x4s on the bottom that allow me to pick them up with my pallet jack. And I've kind of become a pallet jack person. In a shop of this size, it's really convenient, so there's some openings there for a pallet jack. That whole system there is very mobile, and so this is my automotive one. So I've got all of my spare tools and some automotive stuff, and then bits and pieces in here. You can see just shelves and shelves of just the stuff that you acquire over the years, tools and things. Some of those I've had for a very, very long time. But I really like this setup. I've got some more cabinets just for this purpose over here that are still just sitting there. They haven't even been looked at. But anyway, the plan is to turn the tractor around and get it up on a couple of jack stands and take off the rear tires. And the reason to take off the rear tires is to make access to the brakes much easier, especially if I'm going to try to video myself doing the brakes. Imagine me trying to video where I'm working and the camera's in the same spot. It's just not gonna not be possible. So let me get this thing started rolling and then back it into place, and we'll hopefully have it about right here. I'm gonna have to move some pallets and things to get out of the way. So okay, I'm legitimately nervous, and for good reason. These tires are really heavy, and when they want to go somewhere, they kind of have this habit of just going that direction. And so I'm trying to be really careful that I don't put my body in a position where I have to strain my back to try to keep this tire from going haywire. That hopefully is obvious by the title of my channel. I actually do have a bad back. It hurts all the time. So whenever I can, I try to make sure that I'm not putting undue stress on the lower back. Okay, I think that puts us close enough where I can video and you can see. Start off by putting all of this oil absorbent on the floor. All right, I'm going to pause whenever there's something interesting from the fast motion. On the other side, and on all of my tractors, the side of this that is up, facing up, is a Phillips screwdriver. Okay. Obviously we have a nut here and then a bolt head there that's a hex bolt. Obviously that's not original. The sad part is underneath on this side, that's where the Phillips is. So holy crap, how am I? That's gonna make this more fun. All right, to take this cover off, gotta take these out. There's another one down there. There's one right here. Just a little oil. I think that is indicative of an oil leak. I think there's definitely a seal back behind here that needs to be replaced. So I'll have to get on the phone and get that ordered. But before we can do any of that, we've got to disconnect this part from here. So I got to get a couple of wrenches in there and get that disconnected. By the way, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I absolutely love ratchet straps. They're the best second hand a person can employ in their shop, in my opinion, if you've got nobody else willing to come out and hold your stuff with you. I'm not excited about wrenching on this while both nuts are tightly together, but it's kind of my only option right now. Let's see what happens if we go back in for a second. Can we break that guy loose? If you can't beat them, just pound on it. I think by pounding on it, we got them to separate, which is great. But that does not mean that this path is clean. So we'll go back on for a minute. Get some of that WD-40 into the actual nut so that it's slipping easy for us. Now we can start on these. Oh, that's tight. Oh, that is really tight. What about that one down there? Didn't really think about it till I had my hand underneath the loader's bar that goes across there. That would be the lowest part of the tractor if my jack were to fail, and I never put those jack stands underneath like I said I was going to. And so, yeah, I like my arms, and I like them with the bones in them. So I'm going to find my jack stands and put them underneath. It doesn't really help that much, other than it's just going to put this side of the tractor down quite a bit, which is kind of scary to think. But there we go. The jack stand is holding the weight of the tractor. Okay, let's continue to battle with these. So they're no longer nuts, these are bolts now, which means that the threads are a little bit further in the tractor, and they're kind of long. And it's fighting a lot. And on that side, it's kind of deep in there, but it's also very oily. So hopefully this one's nice and loose. Yep, because it's got oil all over it from leaking. This bolt we leave alone. That's a brake adjustment. I figured that out learned that the wrong way. So all we're left with is this guy. What size is that? 3/4. So let's get a shorter socket so that the thing doesn't have to pivot so hard. Or I don't know, the force is axial or something like that. I don't know. Just the closer that your wrench is to the nut you're pounding on, the less chance it has of falling off. That's all I know. Nope. Oh, there we go. Once it breaks free, like butter. Oh, and it's covered in oil too. That is not the WD-40. Oh, look at that. Its lock washer is not complete. All right, I have a feeling when I open this up, we're going to be covered in oil. So let me grab a bright, clean kitchen towel. I'll just kind of prepare ourselves for what's about to happen. Okay, we need a place to pry on. Looks pretty loose. I think we can get it with just our hands. Come on. There it goes. Okay, the big reveal. Oh, shoot. Nothing looks wrong with this brake. It looks like it does exactly what it is supposed to. When you pull on the brakes, it pulls this band. That band closes around this drum, and that causes the tractor to slow down. So what does that mean when if all of a sudden the tractor's brakes engage and there is a sudden force slowing this down? That means somewhere inside the tractor something is terribly wrong. So that comes off nice and easy. Like, am I wrong? Maybe. Like, is there something inside of here that's causing the problem? Maybe. We'll have to find that out. Well, we can try to figure that out. That could be the case. Because I gotta be honest with you, this feels really smooth in here. Like that just, it doesn't feel like it has any slop at all. Big Phillips on this side, big Standard on this side. This is just a plate. If I pull that plate off, does that mean I expose the open chamber where all of that fresh oil that we just put into this tractor is? Maybe it does. I also think it's worth seeing if maybe our problem does not go into the tractor. Like, before we do anything else, what if we were to take that brake component apart and see, man, there's just dirt and oil all over this thing. See if maybe our problem is inside that thing. So let's take that over to the old kitchen cart and see if that's the cause of the problem. So sometimes it's good to take a little break from the discovery phase and come do a little bit of research. These are the two manuals that I've purchased. This one, and then isn't AI great? It made me this cover. And then I've got a couple of owner's manual components, you know, teaching about stuff, and then parts. And the parts, let's see, that's the parts manual. Somewhere in here I should have, yeah, so it does contain stuff for the 430 as well. And when I'm coming back here to where the brake systems are, I'm not really seeing exactly what I'm looking for. Like, that is a different brake. It's got a little hole in the outside there. So that's clearly not it. And again, general purpose 440 tractor, okay, so that's fine. Another version with that on it. And they've got a couple of versions of brakes. Some of them are kind of annoying. It's like an internal thing that wraps around, and there's some pressure that's made between two plates. Some of my tractors have this, and I'm gonna have to try to make them work better before I try to sell them. But that design really is not my favorite. But we come to another one. There's another version, gives you a little better detail. But basically there are some roller bearings, some big round balls, and you pull on this, those roller bearings cause these two metal plates to, you know, press outward, and then you have discs on either side. So on here there is a flat surface, on here there's a flat surface. Those are your metal flat surfaces, and then both of those are brake discs. And by separating this with manual power, you press against those, and it sucks. I'm not happy about it at all. But anyway, there is a bulletin that, thank goodness it's in this manual, that shows the kind of brakes that we have. So my 440, the kind of heavier duty version, has this type of brake as well. So I've got two tractors now that have this band brake system. But it gives us an idea. We've got a housing, and then again, we've got a disc with a brake on it. And I'm not sure how that brake material there is supposed to press against the disc that's here. I still don't quite get what outward pressure happens there, but it shows that they absolutely do come apart, but I don't think there's anything in there
Oh, it's this ball. There is a ball. Okay, so it is possible that if we put some pressure on these and then force this part to slow down, it is possible that this part could seize and make a horrible sound. I don't know. I'm afraid we're skipping teeth in here. But anyway, let's go back out there, take it apart some more. I'm fairly certain that this comes apart easily. Let's see if the balls in there are even there. And then we're probably going to have to drain all the fluids and take the top cover off of the body, the tube. So, okay, let's get to work.
Alrighty. Some really old grease glaze on that disc in there. So we'll clean that off. Looks like a diesel bath for you. Not the brakes, of course. How best? That is held in by a spring, no question. And I can see the bottom of the spring. I can see the top of the springs there. But how do I use that to my advantage? I don't know. That parts manual doesn't include an instruction manual for taking this thing apart. At the same time, the benefit from taking this apart in my mind keeps getting smaller and smaller, because when I touch the brakes, the wheel seizes up and then makes a horrible, horrible sound. I've said this before. So why? Looks like if I press on the inside or this spring, it has a gets bigger at the base of it. It's definitely stretched over something here, and I don't think this is the way to get it apart. Or maybe it is. There is a little bit of room in there for a hook to come in, and then, boy, how am I gonna put this back together if I am successful? I mean, let's see. This doesn't rotate against this. Those springs are the only things holding that in its place. So there's got to be something else that drives keeping it in line. Oh, it's so tempting to just pry up on those two pieces of spring and take this apart all the way. Do I let my curiosity get the better of me? Or do I mean, that has the potential to be the sound that I'm hearing that I hate when I press the brakes. That has the potential. But that would have to mean, oh, this is complicated. So the wheel comes to a complete stop, like it is bound dangerously whenever I even tap the brakes. So that would mean that this here, that there become fused. And I can see why. This has got some kind of sticky stuff on it, some kind of, I guess this is the surface that's touching this, but it feels oily. So rather than being a brake, it's being a, just sticks to each other really fast and hard and bad. But then why the noise? So I do have some options. I can take apart one of these from my other tractor, my other 440 that has this same design, and drop it in real quick. I mean, it's not gonna be impossible. I might even be able to take this off without officially disconnecting this. You know, just pull this out, take this part out, bring this part over here, put it on, put this back together, tap the brakes and see what I get. but there is just a sinking feeling. Oh, wait, hold on. That horrible sound I'm hearing, what if that's this catching and releasing this? You know, what if the sound I'm hearing is this part jumping inside the brake because it's wet, it's got sticky on it? All right, let's clean this all up really well. I'll use some diesel fuel to get the oil off, then I'll use parts cleaner, brake cleaner to try to clean all of the oil out of these. And I've got a trick up my sleeve. I can even heat these surfaces to get the oil out of them. So, yeah, that's loud. Let's do that. Let's clean this thing up really well. I really want to take this apart though. I would need a special tool to put this back together. Something that can grab the spring, hold this in place, extend the spring up this side, bring it over and put it back down. And I've got a shop press, but that's for pressing. Man, it would be so fun to take this apart and clean this off on the inside too. If I had something holding this down, I could pry that up using some wire or parachute cord. You know, we've seen the hacks. And then pry the spring up and bring it over and let it down. I think I could make something that I could use to put that spring back in. So let's see if we can trick that spring off using the trusty file that has the goofy bend at the bottom that you've already seen me use on the injection pump. And then if this is a horrible idea that I'm doing, then so be it. It's a horrible idea. It feels like I'm making a mistake, but let's see. The spring is contiguous on that side, so it's got to be this. Oh yeah, I can feel it. All right. Well, this is the disaster if I can't put these springs back on. We're not using this brake. That one came off pretty easy. It's going to be hell to put back on. I can already tell. Oh yeah, look at that. It's already fallen out. There was the other one. Come on. Make my life hell. I know you're going to. Oh wow, look how clean these are. Holy cow. Those are insanely clean. Look at that. There's not a spot of rust. There's not even grease inside this thing. Those are insanely clean. Wow. Okay, blown away by that. Okay, another spring. All right, so this has a brake surface back here. It is encrusted with oil. But the brake surface actually looks pretty good. This side, it's a little bit dirty, but not that big of a deal. So that's going to go in a diesel bath. Just, you know, maybe I'm making a huge mistake, but I think both of these are going to go into a diesel bath, and I'm going to scrub them out real good. And then let's take apart this brake as well. So there we go. Camera's just in the way. Okay. Oh, hold on. Remember when I said there's a bolt on the outside that you just don't want to remove? It's this pin holding these together. Let's pop that right out. That'll make disassembling this a lot easier. Of course, it's a bigger socket. Because, you know, why not? That's a smaller one. Too small. Nice fit. Yes, fall on the floor. That's what I wanted. Okay. So that should make these a little bit easier to disassemble. Oh, I didn't even have to remove that. Oh my goodness, there's a spring right there. I don't remember what that connects to. In fact, I don't remember it connecting to anything, if I'm honest. So, all right, more research to do. All right, let's clean up. I'm gonna start a video that's high speed. I think some common sense won my debate here. I do have a water-based parts cleaning bin, and it doesn't have any oil in it, so diesel might be a huge mistake. I would just be trying to dissolve oil with oil, and how do I know I would be able to get that out? And burning up brake pads is not probably the correct way to clean them. So yeah, some of the all metal parts, I might clean them up with diesel afterwards, but I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna attack these with a water-based degreasing cleaner. So we're moving. And remember, the reason we took this apart to clean it was that we're thinking that maybe the reason we've got a bunch of really loud noise is that the metal inside the brakes are clanging against each other or slipping because they're full of oil and grabbing violently. So slip, grab, and whenever there's a slip and then a grab again, these guys clang together or something like that, and they contribute to the noise. So we've got our springs, we've got the outside. Let's start with the outside. I guess we'll just lose those in the fluid as well. Oh, there's two springs. Check that out. There's one on both sides. So we better find out what the springs do, and I'll bet you it has something to do with the brakes. That was dumb. Am I rusting these parts in this bath? Like, I'm scrubbing these and I'm seeing a bunch of rust come off. And am I my own worst enemy here? I don't know. I happen to have
Front door.
I happen to have a ultrasonic cleaner. Why not? Let's give it a shot. So I don't know if I'm supposed to be using soap in here. Right now it's just water. But if we were to put some of that degreaser in there that I'm using to clean off the brake parts, if that would help. Let me get these other bolts as well. Let me just do this off video. I think that'll save some time. Let's get the loose oil off of these. So what detergent do I put into an ultrasonic cleaner to dissolve oil, break up dirt, and hopefully also impede any rust? I have no idea, which is kind of on par with everything I've said so far. This is a hobby, and I'm having fun. And I hope you're having fun too. If not, please either let me know in some comments or something. I would love to hear what I could do to make these more appealing to the audience. All right, let's see. What do I do? Oh, there is some of the degreaser up there. So let's put some of this in the ultrasonic. I hope I don't just foam for an hour. That would suck. I also don't know how long to run an ultrasonic cleaner. Especially a Harbor Freight one. I don't claim that they make really good tools. They make really inexpensive tools. If I was doing this for a living, I would probably not be using Harbor Freight. Maybe I would, who knows? Let's put a little bit more in. All right, let those cook. Let's go back over here and get back to the greasy brake pads. I can't help this feeling, but I think I'm just putting these guys into a rust-making bath. Like, I've been scrubbing the rust off of these, and it is just, it's right back. I think I'm actually regretting my decision to use this thing instead of, no, maybe not. This isn't rusting. Right underneath my eyes, that's not rusting. And this is good old steel. Like they cast some iron here. I mean, it's evident. These tractors are covered in bare metal that has just a little tiny bit of surface rust. With the exception of the exhaust manifold, it's got some deep pits in it. But for the most part, these old guys are just good metallurgy. So, all right, well, I've soaked these for a while. I've scrubbed them for a while. Let's dry them off and maybe put them through some rust cleaner. And then let's hit them with some spray paint, you know? Why not? Obviously, there's some surfaces we won't do that to, but we really do need to take some pride in our work. And I think this piece right here is giving me a really good idea of what the original case orange/orange red is. And I'm going to try to duplicate that. I've got some farm enamel that's bright orange, and I don't think that that's the original case orange. So I'm going to have to repaint some of those areas. You know, I'm not obsessed or anything, but I do want it to be original. I think a lot of people want their stuff to be, when they restore it, to be original. So yeah, let's take all this out, dry it off, and then maybe put it in some rust stuff for a minute, just to clear off the surface stuff. I've scraped all the oil the best I can, and these things are still, they feel really greasy. So I am going to heat these up.
I know that's probably not a good behavior, not a good thing to do for your stuff, but I think with a little bit of heat, that oil can be cooked off pretty quick. You know, we're not going to burn it up. We're gonna give that oil a chance to evaporate. So let me stop and move some stuff around. By the way, before we leave this bath completely, I want to show you something I did to it that makes it work a lot better, especially in the winter. I bought a heating element. I can't hold it out for too long, it'll boil. But just, you know, submerge one of those, and within 20 minutes, half an hour or so, the water in here is warm. And this is nice and warm now. Nice and warm. So that helps. So I want to talk really quickly about the brake material here, brake pads. I think it's entirely possible that these are asbestos. So I do want to be really careful about any surface preparation that I do to try to get these back to a more original surface. I also need to make sure that I've dug all of the little bits. I can still see some buildup of grime, some kind of greasy grime in the recesses of those rivets. So I need to make sure a couple of things. Number one, don't make dust and then breathe it. That's an easy way to mess up your lungs. And then the second one is when we're all done, we want these to be dry. And, you know, I guess the right term is slippery, right? We don't want them to have so much friction that they grab any steel that they get close to and won't let go. So let me bring out some brake clean, some wire brush again, and I'll try to make sure that I'm not vibrating the brake pad material itself into the air. That's something to look out for. And I guess these are made of stainless steel because I went back to the parts bin to get them, and I was a little bit worried that they would have rust spots all over them. But look at them. They are just bright, shiny. The outside surface is almost entirely intact and beautiful. So that's kind of cool, just on its own, that some big heavy balls are in the brakes. That's kind of cool. Don't know why I'm so fascinated by those, but I am. All right, let's just see what happens if we put a little bit of heat. Onto that brake surface. Move my, it's just acetone, nothing special in there. All right, just a little bit of heat. See how it like immediately weeps up a little bit of stuff? I think that's an oil of some kind. And if I can, yeah, and if I can bead it out of the brake pad and then wipe it off, maybe I can help free this pad of the oil that's stuck in it. Maybe it'd be safer to do this outside. Let's move outside. All right, what do you guys think? This is International Harvester Red. And I ended up buying a lot of this stuff. So I think it's pretty close. It's definitely not the exact same color. It's got less orange than maybe it needs, but I think it might be good enough. All right, let's go back to blasting some heat into these brake pads. Okay, I've sprayed the heat on these for a minute. They're not smoking anymore, and I've decided I want to be really careful. I don't want to expand the brake material and cause them to pop off of the material. So if I expand this material too much, is it gonna bow right there? And I don't want it to. So the last thing I'm gonna do, which is probably something I shouldn't do, is I'm gonna put a respirator on and I'm just gonna sand them gently. Just flat surface, and a little tiny bit inside. Nothing serious, but just some light grit to try to get that glazing. I guess you call it glazing, to get that glazing off. So let me suit up for that. All right, while we give those painting projects a chance to cure up and dry, let's talk about the leak. I don't believe that there is any danger in taking this outer plate off as far as leaking oil all over the place, but I do still think that it's wise for me to drain the oil out of the tractor. So like, I don't know if you can see it, but this is wet with oil, and it goes all the way down to a bolt down here that's dripping. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe before I do anything with this plate, I better drain the tractor. So let's make some assumptions about where the plug is. It's probably right underneath where I'm jacking the tractor up. So let's, I haven't seen it yet. So let's just get down in there and see what we're dealing with. So hang on while I move the camera. We'll back out just a little bit so that it's not so dramatic, the moves that I make here. I mean, in just the time that we've been jacked up, you can see there's quite a bit of oil, and I don't think that's the WD-40 that I sprayed. Now there's a hole in that plate here, which I wonder why would there be a hole there. That hole does go up into the tractor, so let's see. Do you guys see drain up there? Dang, I cannot tell. I'm gonna have to rewind the video and see. I see one right there, but I think that's the hydraulic pump, and I did discover that there is a fill port for the hydraulics. So let's move this out of the way and look underneath that. Now that jack stand should hold the entire weight of the tractor. So here's to should, and we're putting some weight back on the other tire. Okay, that's good. Okay, you're out of the way. Mostly out of the way. Okay, now you're out of the way. All right, let's go look at that surface there. Oh, there is, right over there. That's got to be a drain right there. So let's look that up. First, I'm going to put this jack back under the tractor. And even though that's a plate that's attached to the rear of the tractor, I still would feel a little bit more comfortable if there was more than more than one thing holding this gigantic tractor up from killing me. And then as far as where to put the oil, let's see if we can just put it straight back into the buckets that we used to fill it. So are you empty? Yes. So this one's completely empty. Are you empty? No. Almost. So let's start with this 5-gallon bucket here, even though I think there might be more than 5 gallons total in there. And we'll just be mindful of trying not to make a big leak. So let me take the lid off of that, and then we'll prepare it under the tractor. Oh man, that thing is on there. Like a gentle deterrent for regular maintenance. I'm gonna bring all the way up to the 1-inch socket with me just in case what I've brought so far isn't big enough. Oh crap. See, it's exactly what I said was gonna happen. Maybe I should have better prepared for exactly what I said was gonna happen, huh? All right, let me clean all this stuff up. Okay, that's scary enough for me to want to try to stop it. Oh man, threads. We're good. Oh mercy! I should be smarter than this. I shouldn't be um, guessing about stuff like this. But the threads on that bolt are so short that it immediately, as soon as it broke free, that impact wrench just took it the rest of the way off really fast. So we'll try not to make that mistake again. No promises. All right, let's see if I can lift on that spot. That sounds pretty bad. It's making a lot of wood splintering noises, but it's lifting. Okay. Okay, let's see if that's far enough to get the bucket out. Yeah, perfect. Okay, I don't want to do it fluid just out. Kind of dirty. We need to faster. She'll close my microphones. Draining nice and slow now. All right, let's leave what's there in place for now. Just leave it on the jack. I'm not going to crawl under the tractor for a while. And then I'm going to put the drain plug on top of the fill plug upside down. All right. Sorry if the footage of that was poor. I don't know how. I don't want to wear a camera. It seems like a lot of work. But the area I'm working in now is just drenched in fluid. So if that helps, if you're, watching this and you want to know what it's like to be up to your elbow in a dumb hobby, there you go. Covered in tractor fluid. Okay. Something I noticed while I was crawling around underneath this tractor, was that there's an opening right here for the brake cover to drain into the ground, a drain. There's another one just like it behind it, so that this plate has, if there's any fluid that gets past the seal, a plate for it to go before it comes out to the brake. So I don't believe that this plate, the other side of it, is direct access to the inside. I think on the other side of this is more metal, and I can see the seal. It's well behind it. So that's a gigantic screwdriver and a standard screwdriver, a gigantic Phillips. Let me see what kind of heavy duty tools I have for taking that apart. Something I do not own, and maybe I better buy one before I try to continue this video, so we'll call today part 1, is a socket screwdriver. So all I've got is this 1/4 inch stuff. So if we think we're not doing that just could have used my thumbnail to get that out. Let's cross our fingers that the Phillips side, which I don't understand the motivation for having a standard side and a Phillips side. Oh, it is. I could have used just regular screwdrivers. Wow. Very loose. Cool. I was legit nervous that those weren't going to move, and I was going to have to buy some tools, cut today's video at the current point, which is maybe a good idea. I don't even know how long this video is going to be yet. So maybe it's a good idea to cut it where it's at. I don't know. So we'll put those up there. And then I just want to pry a little bit. I think there's an O-ring somewhere under here. Don't know exactly where. Where's my standard screwdriver? This is the other problem I have, is I take stuff with me and then I leave it in places. This ultrasonic cleaner is kind of goofy. It only works for like 3 minutes and then it turns itself off. That's kind of frustrating. What did you expect? It was cheap. Okay, so somewhere under here,
Front door.
there is an opening.
Front door.
Echo, volume 2. It's somewhere along here. There's a pry point right here as well. So let's try not to put everything in one basket. Let's tap on it too. I know where our intentions are. I'll bet you that this is the way it is so that you can replace it, because it's a brake pad or a brake component. So maybe it's made out of a different steel than the rest of the tractor. Maybe it's steel, whereas the rest of the tractor is iron. But yeah, I'll bet you the reason this comes off is so that you can replace it if it wears out. So it's not interested in budging yet. Okay, it's willing to let go on that. So it's right here. Let's see, how do I pry on that right there? I want a pry bar and then another pry bar to be a standoff. So I take the big long pry bar and then I put the other pry bar right there. It's weird. Oops, tools on the floor. It's like it shakes. The only things holding it on that I can tell are these 2 bolts. But it's not willing to budge. Yeah, each time I make a little bit of progress, it locks up. Like there's another fastener somewhere holding it in place. And I don't see where one of those could be unless it has a recess to hold it exactly in the right place. Like there's metal on the other side of this that's recessed into the tractor. So, okay, well, we're gonna go underneath the tractor a little bit. Hopefully not enough to put ourselves in big danger. Oh, you know what? There is a gasket material. So, want to be mindful of that. There's definitely a gasket. Okay, so this puts some pressure from the bottom. I just don't want it to drop the moment I let go. So, okay, that puts a little bit of pressure on the bottom. And it's making weird noises too. Okay, and then come on, Husky screwdriver, stay there. Okay, so now I got a hand on both of these. I'm gonna just rock it. It's still resisting, like it's got some great something holding it. Okay, so now I've got a pry bar under it in two places. Is it the gasket that's holding it in place? I don't know. Let's see. I think I can get this screwdriver in up here now. Yeah. It's gotta have something holding it in place. Oh, it's the seal. We're drawing the seal out of the tube. I can tell because I can see the seal moving. So it's a really good thing that we drained the tube, or else we would be dealing with having a lot more goo on the floor. Okay, clears out all the dirt. Let's make sure that the gasket's coming with us. The gasket looks like it's made out of metal, so I'm gonna be really careful not to need any of my hobbies, that involve remaking gaskets. Okay, off it comes. Ooh, and that is coming out with it. Awesome. This is gonna be fun. It's going to be exciting to see what the other side of that has in store. So, oh, like we were thinking, oh, it's got a bearing race and a seal. So let's set this down on a nice dirty part of the tractor. Let's take you off without hurting you. And then boy, we get a little insight to what's going on back there. Let's take this part over to the counter first and clean it off. Because I'm afraid of rust, I'm not going to clean this off in the water-based oil cleaner. And then we're just gonna try to get anything that we see that might end up in our tube out of these areas here. So we do not want grit in our torque tube. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I am really really excited to see if the gears on the other side of this, where it matches and meets with the rest of the tractor, are just shredded. So let's see if it comes out. Comes out a little bit, and then it stops coming out. So either it has a retainer or something like that. Let me see if I can get my flashlight on the gears back behind it, and then I'll bring you guys in as well. So you guys tell me, do those gears look like they are shredded? I don't think they do. I think those gears look fine back there. And I've turned it around a little bit. So I think the problem is not deep inside the tractor. Actually, there's a planetary gear on the back side of that. So okay, yeah, so this thing is not going to come out unless we can pull it out of the gear that's on the end of the shaft, that back there, that interfaces with the planetary gear behind it. And I'll bet you that's a press fit, and this big guy there is going to keep us from pulling this guy out. But in spite of all those things, those gears look perfect. I don't see any rust either, and I don't see metal. Oops, I guess that's too much light. That thing doesn't look like it's covered in metal either. So I think that's a good sign. I think the stuff that we're doing to the brakes is all we need to worry about. And we're almost done putting all that back together. So let me throw you wildly around the shop with the camera angle. Sorry. Tighten everything up. And we'll go to town cleaning these things up. Still really like those ball bearings. I don't know why I'm so enamored by them. This might be the right time to buy some seals, because I think it would be a shame to put this back together without replacing the seals. So, won't that be fun to find out that the seals for this are unavailable? There's rust on this metal gasket, and a hole. There's a pinhole through it. Actually, there's quite a few pinholes through there. Yeah, you can see them there. So we'll have to see if this is available. Pretty thin sheet metal. If I had a water jet cutter or something like that, I'd totally be okay just cutting my own, but I don't. I might know some people that do though, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. Oh, there's an O-ring back here. So that increases the number of failure points to 2. There's an outside O-ring, and then there's a seal on the inside. So we need all these parts. And then just going to keep cleaning the outside. There's a galleyway there of some kind. I don't know what it's for, but it's probably a drain in case anything makes its way past the... Oh yeah, that's for sure what that is. Anything that makes its way past... Why is all the rust on the top side? That's goofy. This is dirty. Let me spray that with some WD-40. Before you clean stuff with brake clean, hit it with WD-40. It's a fantastic penetrator. And you'll see here. Give it a second. And hit the ultrasonic cleaner again because we want these things clean. Wonder if that makes any noise on the camera that's unpleasant. Hope not. Hope all this footage isn't ruined by the ultrasonic cleaner. That's really lovely there. I think some rust has gotten that system. I'll get some rust, right? Or else the water comes in. Oh yeah, oh, right inside. That's easier. Let's get something to scrape that metal a little bit. Yeah, a wood chisel. Grit and dirt in there. Oh my gosh, look at those. There's all kinds of marks on this thing. Those aren't brake wear part marks. Look at those. Those look like somebody smacked this with a hammer. I'm trying not to put everything in one basket. Let's tap on it too. I know where our intentions are. Did I work on this thing? What are those all about? Huh. We didn't do that. I know I didn't do that. Somebody did that. Some wear or some collected goo out here around the exterior where the cover, the brake cover sits. You know, when we do the brakes on the other side, which even though they don't look too bad, they need to be done because there's a component that's broken that is associated with this area of the tractor that I'm super excited about. I don't know if I remember talking about it in the introduction video, but there is a component that is on the back of the plate of the other side that allows me with my right foot to engage a now that side looks beautiful, so they clearly didn't have this thing taken apart when they set this seal. I'll bet you they put this together from the outside and someone said, hey, I can replace that seal, and then somebody else said, okay, and then that somebody proceeded to tear the old one out, who knows how. Hope they weren't hitting it with a hammer, and then tapped this one in with a punch or something because it just looks bad. There is a number on it. On both sides there's a number. Hard to see. Let's get a little closer. Can any of you make that out? I can't even tell if it's upside down or not. Let's see if we can zoom in a little more. Oh, I still can't tell if it's upside down or not. There's another one right there. I'm seeing that one looks like it's upside down. Boy, that's going to be tough. All right, I'm not sure what the right thing to do is. The tractor manual does have a part number for those, obviously. And I found eBay is a good place. I'm sure there's some other tractor supply places. But I think we might be done for today because I don't think I need to do anything more. There's no more disassembly. I think the brake pads are going to be just fine. All I got to do is clean up this surface, which I'll probably sand to get this nice and smooth again. Just kind of the same thing I was doing to the other brake pads. Those hammer marks on there, they almost look like termites that went through some wood. I think those aren't going to affect its ability to slow down. So, and we'll just do our best to keep this nice and clean. Maybe I'll pack this area with some paper towels so that I don't make any mistakes of filling it with grease. Although the worst thing that can happen is nothing. We can clean all this out before we reassemble it. And that seal is in there good and tight. So, okay, well, let's call that the video. Thank you all so much I want you all to know I appreciate that you could be watching any number of people's real-time work on old stuff. I appreciate it. I do. I watch a lot of other channels. I think it's appropriate for me to talk about them at some point, or maybe link them on my main channel. But I've definitely had my share of inspirations. But thank you for watching. I'm having a great time, and there's plenty more content to do on this tractor alone, plus the other ones as well. So thank you again, and have a pleasant evening, or day, or morning, or midnight. Have a good time, pleasant time. God bless. There you go.